In the beginning, you don't know your price because your price is connected to the fact that you are learning a new skill. You're not 100% competent or confident in your ability, and you don't have a customer or client base to affirm that you are actually good at what you do. And so you use external standards to establish what your work is worth. But as you develop and grow and become more confident, become more competent, you get a better understanding of who you are, what you're doing, why what you do is different from what other people do. That's the space and time that you need to consider. Am I charging the right amount? Am I undervaluing my own gift?
Season with salt, with salt. Season with salt, with salt.
What's up? This is Dominique Beaumonte, and you are listening to Season with Salt, the podcast. I had this wild epiphany because the Lord was revealing to me a lot of the areas for which He graced me with talent. And I'm of the belief that the gifts and talents that God gives you, He gives you so that you will invest back into the work of the ministry. And that sounds really religious and spiritual, but really it is as simple as if He gifted you to speak, then not every opportunity that you get to speak you should be charging for or whatever, right? But also you should make appropriate investments in your craft so that you honor God every time that you do something. I had a season where what was most important to me was making sure that I was doing things almost to a level of perfection for the purpose of pleasing God in my work. I believe that God honored that process in that season of my life by favoring me with the opportunity to do things at a higher level, exposing me or exposing other people rather often to the things that I was capable of doing, and thereby resulting in greater influence and opportunities. What I realized does not change is the way that people interpret your gifting. Because there are some people that will put a price tag on your gifting based on the way that they feel about the gift and or the way that they feel about you, that is inconsistent with the investment that you have made in yourself and your craft. And it's a war, right? Because you've invested so much to be good and to be better and to try and to focus, and then somebody has decided what that is worth for you based on something that really doesn't have anything to do with you. And that can be a really difficult pill to swallow. A lot of people fold, y'all. A lot of people are like, well, maybe I'm not that good. maybe what I offer is not worth what I think it is. A lot of people fold. They succumb to other people's opinion, the value that other people put on who they are and what they do. And it's really unfortunate because there are some people who are on the path to greatness, right? The path to walking in their maximum potential. And the only thing that gets in their way is other people valuing and or devaluing them based on something that doesn't have to do with them. So here's here's my perspective. Here's my perspective. First, you have to ask God, what is the value of the gift that you put in me? It's less about how much I should charge other people. It's more about who am I, right? Like how should I navigate this world with the gifts that you have given me? And unfortunately, we live in a world where everybody wants. I was looking at something about like how to put together a online class, to get paid. Everybody's talking about getting paid, like doing the bare minimum to get paid. That's everybody's sort of pull these days. Be a consultant, have an online, like write an online book, whatever it is. Like there's all this stuff about being paid. And what it has done is it's essentially watered down people's perspective on like walking thoroughly in their gifting because they're so interested in doing it for the wrong reason. So the first thing that I think is really important is really asking God to help you conceptualize what it is that you have been called to do. Outside of the context of what other people believe or think or know or all that, right? The other thing that, because I'll take this. I can talk about my graphic design. When I first started to learn how to be a graphic designer, it was almost kind of a fluke. Uh, I was like using like some remedial programs, right, to create art that, quite frankly, I was proud of because I had mastered certain systems for my own benefit, right? And from my perspective, people liked the work and they identified graphic design as a skill that I had. But I kind of got thrown into a professional world that required me to deepen and broaden my skill set. And in other words, let me say it this way: I was using Microsoft Word, like a Microsoft platform. I think it was called Publisher to make graphics, and then Canva came out, and so I was sort of taking the Publisher um, framework and skill set and like really tried to maximize like what I could do on Canva. But ultimately, I had to learn how to use the Adobe platform, whether it's Photoshop or Illustrator or what have you. So I learned how to do that, and I wasn't really confident in my ability based on the fact that I was navigating an entirely new world that was foreign to me. Right? It was extremely foreign to me. And when people would ask me, based on what they knew to be my Microsoft publisher skill set, to do things in the early stages of my Adobe platform skill set, I would value my skill set based on my publisher identity and not what I was perfecting over in the Adobe world. I hope this makes sense. And for a long time, like it was difficult for me to realize the value of my work because people over time were learning how to throw things together on their own on Canva or learning how to use Microsoft Word to their advantage, even if it was just for words. People were all learning how. Then the market became saturated with people who could make graphics professionally. And so what I would do, y'all, is I'd get like a project. Somebody would entrust me with a project, and I would spend hours and hours on it. I'd be working all into the midnight hour. I'd go to sleep and I'd wake up and start working on that project again. And then I would charge $35 for something that I invested 4 hours in. I kid you not. Because for me, like, the world was saying that I don't care how much time it takes. This is like, if you want to be competitive, if you want people to invest in your skill set, then you need to charge this minimal remedial amount. And I bought into that. And one day I had this wild epiphany that professionally, I was getting paid a lot of money to do what I was subsequently charging pennies to do outside of my profession. And I realized that the difference was not the time and the energy that I put into it, it was the system's value of my contribution. My employer, if you will, said the value of this work is 6 figures, let's say. Whereas the clientele that I had grown said the value of this is $35 because I made the value $35. So I had to really do some like internal construction. And I'm like, wait a minute, I need to essentially value the product of my work based on the time that I spend doing it, because the time that I spend doing it is what makes my work, my investment in detail, my care for the little things, my interest in perfection and not really wanting to share a product with somebody until I had the full amount of faith in the product. And I was doing that for one side of my world and not for I was doing it for both sides of my world, but at different values. And it was my fault. So God revealed to me, wait a minute, like you have an expectation about the way that your profession values what you do in a different way than you have for the clients that you have that are not connected to your profession. And you need to evaluate why. And that's when I had that epiphany about this low self-worth attached to my ability to create art. And I had to go back and say, oh my gosh, I need to charge $50 an hour. And if the project that I'm doing requires me to work 4 hours, then my price is $200. And whomever does not want to pay that, they can get somebody else. Because I can no longer do a $200 job for $35 because I learned more about my own gifting. So here's the bottom line, friends. Your price is your price. And your price evolves because your value evolves. When your investment in yourself transcends, so does your price. And you might have to write some things off for the sake of protecting your price and the value of your work. But you can't let other people establish what your work is worth. Hear me. Maybe that's appropriate in the early stages because you're learning. Like, people are entrusting you to do something that you have not necessarily perfected. But once you grow and mature and become better and spend more time and invest in your crafting and your gifting, you can't let other people set your value. Now, there are some circumstances where that is, I'm not a world-renowned preacher, right? And I don't preach for money. So I'm not going to be applying some of this. But there are some people, if I was TD Jakes, y'all, I'm telling y'all right now, I would not get myself a plane ticket, book myself a hotel to come speak at your conference. Like, my value is determined by the investment that I make in my own gift and my craft in order to be what you want me to be. And so that costs a little different, right? And I'm not saying that I'm not, my gifting to preach is not worth whatever TD Jakes gets in an honorarium. I don't know. I don't think about that in that way. But you got to be careful not to devalue yourself and then your whole world be established based on how you have devalued yourself or how other people have established their value for your gift. Your price got to be your price, and your price got to evolve. Your price shouldn't be the same next year, because the more that you do something, the better you should be. And some people, let me tell you what people will do. And I learned this through, like, folks will intend to have every event that somebody has. They, for the most part, have a set of outcomes that they want. And if they had it the first time, the second time, and the third time, they want the fourth time to be the best time. And so they have decided in their mind, their heart, in their budget meeting or wherever, that they're going to invest more money, more resources, so that what they are doing, the outcome is better. Okay? So they are willing to pay everybody else more because they want to see a greater outcome, more people in attendance, more people saved, more people registered, whatever it might be. Well, guess what? They need to keep that same energy in response to the increase in your price. They do. Because if you got a greater expectation for what your event will yield this year, and that means that you're making a greater investment, don't try to shortchange me, right? And people do that. That's why in my graphic design work, I'm very careful to let people know that I'm not just a person who graphic designs. I really feel invested in the brand identity of some of my clients, because I want them to know that it's more than just me making artwork for you. I'm more than just a person that makes art. I'm consulting with you on what I think would be the best product to yield the return that you want. That's all I'm saying. And when I realized that, y'all, I realized that people were getting over me, because people would be like, well, what do you think about this? No, now you're asking for consultation. It's gone beyond just a general question. So anyway, your price is your price. Your price is your price is your price is your price. No matter what nobody say, no matter what nobody think, if they want to go on Fiverr and get something quick and easy and cheaper, let them go. Let them go. But it behooves you to know the value you bring to somebody's process, somebody's event, somebody's system. Because you need to know that what you bring is better than what they'll get somewhere else. Otherwise, you always undervalue yourself if you don't know what is unique about what you offer. I'm going to quit. I love y'all. Father, cause us to know that you've attached value to our gifts. And not for the sake of being entrepreneurs, but for the sake of maximizing the time, the space, the opportunity that we have in this world to do your work. In Jesus' name, amen.